Okay, question 8. So it asks, the length of a rectangle is twice as long as the width of a rectangle. The area of the rectangle is 32 centimeters squared. So draw the rectangle on the grid. So we know that 32 centimeters squared, to find the area, is length times width. And we know that the length is twice as long as the width. So let's think of the factors of 32. So we've got 1, 32, we've got 2, 16, we've got 4 and 8. So thinking about these factors, which one of these would abide by the rules that we have here? We know it's going to be 4 and 8. So 8 would be the length and 4 would be the width. So let's say we draw, starting from here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then draw down 4, and then come across, then up. Now, because I'm doing this on a graphic pad, of course, the line is not as straight as it should be, but you understand that the lines need to match through the points there. Okay, so let's go to question 9. So it says Jackie wants to work out 3,480 divided by 5. She knows that 380 divided by 10 equals 348. So she follows this logic. So what mistake did Jackie make in her method? Well, the answer is that she should have multiplied 348 by 2 as opposed to dividing it. Because when she's dividing by 5, it gives twice as much as dividing by 10. So let's write that out. So she should have multiplied 348 by 2 because, and this is a little bit extra that you can put down, so dividing by 5 gives, say, twice as much as dividing by 10. Okay. Question 10. So Jake and Sarah each played a computer game 6 times. Their scores for each game are shown below. So who had the most consistent, let's highlight that, consistent scores, Jake or Sarah? So you must give a reason for your answer. Now again, whenever we see the word consistent, that usually refers to the range. And if you recall, the range is the largest number, so the largest number subtracted by the smallest number. Okay, so in this case, we'll look to highlight the smallest number and the largest number. So this is the largest number for Jake, and the smallest number will be 8. And then for Sarah, likewise, well, the largest number is going to be 14, and the smallest number is going to be 2. So all we need to do now is subtract. I'll use a different color. So for Jake, we have that 12 minus 8, so that gives us 4. And for Sarah, we have 14 minus 2, which gives us 12. So which one is the smallest range? Well, that's for Jake. So then that means that Jake has the most consistent score. Brilliant. So the second part says that Jake played a different game 20 times. The stem and leaf diagram shows information about his scores. Jake said his modal score was 6 points because 6 occurs most frequently in the diagram. So is Jake correct? You must explain your answer. So here, Jake is not correct because 6 doesn't appear at all. If you look at the key here, this 1 separated by the line 2 represents 12. So if Jake was referring to 6, he would have had to see a value of 6 here. But obviously that's not the case. So the reason why he may have thought this was because of the fact that there are many 6s appearing throughout the stem and leaf, but actually they correspond to a number. which is on the left hand side of this line. So in this case, we can see that the number that appears the most is 6 with respect to the number 2 here. So that means that actually the number is 26, which is the modal. So we would say no, Jake is not correct. And we say 26 is the modal score. Okay, question 11. So it says there are 30 children in a nursery. At least one adult is needed for every 8 children in the nursery. So work out the least number of students needed in the nursery. Alright, so let's think about this. So there are 30 children in the nursery. So for every adult, you have 8 children. So 2, then we're going to have 16. 3, we'll have 24. And I'll just put that here. 4, you'll have 32. So that means in order to fit the criteria, you need to have 4 adults. Okay? So it says 2 more children join the nursery. So does this mean that more adults are needed in the nursery? You must give your reasons for it. And well, we know that the answer is going to be no, because we have 4 adults, which is fine for up to, we said, 32 children. And of course we had 30 to begin with, adding the 2, that's 32. Okay, question number 12. So it says Emma has 45 rabbits. 30 of the rabbits are male. 8 of the female rabbits have short hair, and 12 of the rabbits with long hair are male. So use the information to complete the two-way table. Alright, so let's break this down. So let's fill out what we know already. So we know that 12 of the rabbits with long hair are male. So male and long hair. So 12. Okay, that's that. And then 8 of the female rabbits have short hair. So female and short hair. 8. And we know that 30 of the rabbits are male. So we come down to this column. We go to the total 30. So now it's just a simple case of filling out the rest of what we don't know. Instinctively we have to work it out. So 12 subtracted from 30 is 18. So we can add this up on the row to give us 26. And also we can start to think about, well, we know that there are 45 rabbits in total. We're told that. So add that one there. Okay, so we've got 26. We subtract that from 45. That means we get 19. And so 12 and the 19 being the total, which means that female is going to have 7. And then we can add the final space, which is 15, total of 15 female rabbits. Right, so the next part of the question says, one of Emma's rabbits is chosen at random. It says, write down the probability that this rabbit is a female with short hair. So let's think about it. How many females do we have? We've got 15. But more specifically, we want those with short hair. So female and short hair. Well, the one that fits that description is 8. And of course, it's out of a possible 45. So 8 over 45 is our probability. All right, question 13. So it says the total surface area of a cube is 294 centimeters squared. So it says work out the volume of the cube. Right, so we know that the total surface area of a cube, so the surface area is length times width of each face face, and then you sum all of these together. Okay, so let's think of it as follows. So we have, let's say, a cube So because it's a cube, we know that the length is going to be equal to the width. So we can take any random variable. So let's just call it x. So we know that the cube is going to have 6 faces. One here, one on the other side, one coming down here, side 5 and 6. If you think of it in terms of a 3D shape. So we know that one face is going to be length times width, so x squared. We know we have 6 of them, so that means it's going to be equal to 6x squared. So that's the surface area. And we're told that the surface area equals 294. So 6x squared equals 294. Well, the next thing that we have to do is we want to make x the subject. So we divide through by 6. So we'll get x squared equals 49. And then we still have this square. So we say that 14, so x equals plus or minus 7. Now obviously because we are talking about physical space here, that means that it cannot be a negative. So it's going to be plus 7. Okay, so x, each length and width, given that they're the same, is going to be 7. So the question was, work out the volume of the cube. So we know that volume equals length times width times height. So it's going to be 7 times 7 times 7. So that equals 49 times by 7, which will give us 343. So 343, but remember it's going to be centimeters cubed. Okay, question 14. So here are two fractions, 7/5 and 5/7. So it says work out which of the fractions is closer to 1, and you have to show all of your working out. Alright, well, let's think about this. This is LCM, thinking about what the lowest common multiple is so that we can equate these two fractions. So the simplest thing to do is change the denominators to a number that equate. So we have 5, we have 7. We think of our multiplication table. So we know that 5 times 7 is 35. So for this one here, we'll say 5 times by 7. So the top multiplies by 7, which gives us 49/35. And this one here, well, we know 5, and we times this by 5, we times this by 5. So we're going to get 25/35. Okay, so which one of these is closer to 1? Well, since this is larger than 1, we have to figure out, so 49 take away 35/35 gives us 14/35. Just separate this two. And we know that 35/35 subtracted by 25/35 equals 10/35. So that means that this number is 14/35 away from 1. Whereas this number here, 10/35, sorry, 5/7 is 10 and 35 away from 1. So we know that this here is closer to 1. Okay, question 15. So it says there are only red buttons, yellow buttons, and orange buttons in a jar. The number of red buttons, the number of yellow buttons, and the number of orange buttons are 7, 4, 9. So work out the percentage of the buttons, work out what percentage of the buttons in the jar are orange. Okay, so it's already given us the ratio. So 7, 4, 9. And it's told us in respective order. So the first one, it says is red. Oh. So let's just rub that out. So the first one it says is red. And then the next one it says is yellow. And then the final one it says is orange. So this means that we have 7 red buttons, 4 yellow buttons, and 9 orange buttons. Okay, so if we add that all up, so 7 plus 4 plus 9, we get 20. So we know that there are 20 buttons. And it says work out the percentage of the what percentage of the buttons are orange. So we know that there are 9 orange buttons. So 9 divided by 20. Now, since we want to work out the percentage, what we can easily do is we can say, how do we turn 20 into 100? So we can times that by 5. And then therefore we do the same thing here, times that by 5, which gives us 45. Now that we have something over 100, we can say that this is 45%. So 45% of the buttons in the jar are orange. Question 16. So it says Benika wants to buy 35 t-shirts. So each t-shirt costs £5.80, and she does the calculation of 40 times by 6 equals 240 to estimate the cost of 35 t-shirts. So explain why her calculation shows the actual cost will be less than £2.40. So she's rounded up both numbers, so her answer is an overestimate. So because the cost is actually 580, but she's rounded up 6, and because she only wants 35, but she's rounded up 40 to 40, she'll have an overestimate. So, okay, has rounded both numbers up, so her answer is an overestimate. Okay, so there's a special offer, and it says work out the cost of the actual cost of buying 35 t-shirts using the special offer. Okay, so each t-shirt is 580. Buy 30 or more t-shirts to get 10% off the total. Right, so we will say 35 times £5.80, and we know that this equals, using our calculator, 203. Now 203, so working out 10% of that, so 203, so let's work out 10%, which gives us 20.3. So this equates to 10%. So then we say 203, and we want to take away £20.30. So working it out, turn that into 2, we get 0.2, and then we borrow the 1 there. So 10 take away 2, which gives us 8, and then we have a 1. So the answer is going to be £182.70. So we'll write that up there. £82.70. Question 17. So the question says, there are 3 cards in a box A and 3 cards in a box B. There is a number on each card. So it says 3, 4, 5, 2, 9, 3. So Ryan takes out a random card from box A and a random card from box B. He adds together the numbers on the 2 cards to get a score. Work out the probability that the total score is an odd one. Okay, so there are going to be 4 ways of getting an odd. So in this case, if he picks out 3 and 2, or 4 and 9, or 4 and 3, or 5 and 2. Okay, so 4 ways that he can get an odd. So then let's think about all the possibilities from this. So what are the possibilities that he can pick out? Well, we know that he can pick out 3 and a 9, a 3 and a 2, a 3 and a 3. Or he can pick out a 4 and a 9, a 4 and a 2, a 4 and a 3. Or he can pick out a 5 and a 9, a 5 and a 2, a 5 and a 3. So let's write that down. So 3 and 9, 3 and 2, 3 and 3, that's 1. Then 4 and 2, 4 and 9, 4 and 3. And then we also said 5 and 9, 5 and 2, 5 and 3. So there are 9 possible combinations. So 4 of those were odd, and there are 9, so that means 4 over 9. Question 18. So it says Harry, Regan and Keelan share £450 in the ratio 253. So how much money does Keelan get? So again, we can start off by saying Harry, Regan, Keelan. So there's 2, 5, 3. So how many parts are there? Well, 2 plus 5 plus 3. So there are 10 parts. Okay, so if we divide 450 by 10, you'll get 45. So 1 part equals 45. So Harry gets 2 parts, so times that by 45, you get 90. Regan gets 5 parts, so times that by 45, he will get 45 times by 5, which is 125. And then times this, Keegan by 45, then he will get 135. So if you add all of these together, you will get 450. But the answer specifically says how much money does Keelan get. So Keelan in this case gets 135.